You might be wondering what actually separates old money, new money, and no money. Whether you grew up with nothing, recently started earning, or come from a family that never discusses wealth at all. In this video, we will break down the key differences between these three financial realities in a clear, short, and easy to understand way. Old money refers to inherited generational wealth. New money refers to wealth built within a single lifetime. And no money refers to the lived experience of financial scarcity, which, despite being the most common reality on earth, is the least studied and the least understood of the three. Together, these three positions shape not just how people spend, but how they think, how they speak, how they love, how they parent, and how they see themselves in the world. Understanding them doesn't just explain the rich and the poor. It explains almost every social tension you have ever felt in a room, where each began. Old money traces its roots to aristocratic Europe, to land-owning families whose wealth predated industrialization. In America, the concept crystallized in the late 1800s with families like the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers, and the Astors. Their wealth was not earned in a single generation. It was accumulated, protected, and passed down through legal structures, elite education, and strategic marriage over decades and centuries. New money emerged as a concept during the Industrial Revolution, when for the first time in human history, a person born without land could become richer than a person born with it. The railroad barons, the factory owners, the tech founders, all new money. All people who disrupted the inherited order and built something the old families had never anticipated. No money is not a modern invention. It is the default human condition. For most of recorded history, the overwhelming majority of people lived in financial scarcity. What is modern is the language around it. Poverty lines, financial stress, the psychology of lack, concepts only formally studied in the 20th century. This explains why old money families have rituals and old money families have code. New money families have ambition and new money families have visibility. And no money families have survival strategies that have been refined over generations of necessity. How they dress. Old money dresses to disappear. The goal is never to stand out. Understated fabrics, muted colors, old shoes kept polished rather than replaced. A blazer worn for 20 years. A watch inherited rather than purchased. The signal is not wealth, it is permanence. Old money has nothing to prove because it has already proven everything decades before you were born. New money dresses to be seen. Logos are visible. Brands are chosen for recognition. The outfit is the announcement of arrival, of success, of distance traveled from where they started. This is not vanity, it is communication. New money has earned something and the clothing is the evidence. The watch is purchased to mark the moment. The car is chosen so that no one can miss it. No money dresses for function. Clothing is selected for durability, price, and practicality. Fashion is a luxury that arrives last after rent, food, and bills. But within no money communities, fashion still exists. It just operates by different rules. A clean crease, a well-kept sneaker, a carefully maintained wardrobe that signals dignity even in the absence of resources. The style is not poverty, it is resourcefulness. This difference reflects how each group uses clothing not as decoration, but as social language, to signal belonging, arrival, or resilience depending on which world they came from. How they speak about money. Old money never speaks about money. To name a price is considered vulgar. To ask what someone earns is unthinkable. Wealth is assumed, never announced. The language around finances is coded, comfortable, well situated, taken care of. Phrases that communicate abundance without ever touching a number. Children in old money families learn this silence early. Money is like oxygen. You don't discuss it. You simply breathe it. New money speaks about money constantly. The salary is named. The investment return is shared. The net worth is tracked, discussed, and sometimes posted. This is not bragging, it is processing. New money is often the first generation to have wealth and the first generation to have to figure out what to do with it. The conversation is how they learn. The transparency is how they stay accountable to themselves. No money speaks about money with anxiety. The conversation is always about what is missing, what is due, what is not enough. The price of everything is known because the price of everything matters. No money families can quote the cost of groceries, utilities, and bus fares with precision that would stun the other two groups because accuracy is survival. A miscalculation is not an inconvenience. It is a crisis. This difference reflects how money functions differently in each world. As background noise, as scorecard, or as weather, how they eat. Old money eats according to tradition. The same dishes prepared the same way for generations. Formal meals with unspoken rules about seating, serving, and conversation. Food is rarely about pleasure. It is about ritual. The family table is where culture is transmitted and where children learn who they are. Restaurants are chosen for privacy, not fame. The reservation is made under someone else's name. New money eats to experience. The best restaurant in the city. The tasting menu. The wine pairing. Food becomes a form of cultural investment, evidence that life has expanded beyond where it started. New money discovers cuisines, travels for meals, and documents the experience because the experience is part of the point. Food is celebration. It is the reward for the work. No money eats for calories and cost. Meals are built around what is available, what is on sale, and what will last. Creativity exists here. Remarkable creativity, actually, because cooking with limited ingredients demands ingenuity that neither old nor new money ever develops. The no money kitchen produces combinations and techniques born from necessity that often become the food cultures entire nations are proud of. Soul food, ramen, jerk chicken, injera, all of it emerged from communities that had very little and made it extraordinary. This difference reflects how food tells the story of each group's relationship with abundance, as inheritance, as achievement, or as invention, how they handle failure. Old money absorbs failure quietly. There is enough cushion, financial, social, reputational, that a single failure does not define the person. The family name is a buffer. A failed business becomes a learning experience. A legal problem becomes a matter being handled. The resources exist to manage the narrative and restart the project. Failure in old money is private and temporary. New money fears failure existentially. The first generation that built something carries the terror of losing it. The imposter syndrome is real and documented. Many new money individuals never fully believe the wealth is permanent because they watched it not exist and they know exactly how it disappears. This fear drives the overwork, the obsessive saving, the inability to enjoy what has been built. The bank account grew. The anxiety did not shrink. No money lives with failure constantly and develops a relationship with it that the other two groups never do. When everything is already precarious, a single failure does not signal catastrophe. It signals Tuesday. The resilience that emerges from sustained scarcity is neurologically real. Studies in adversity psychology show that people with chronic low resource experience often develop higher tolerance for uncertainty, faster recovery from setbacks, and stronger community repair instincts than those who grew up cushioned. Failure in no money is public and repetitive, and sometimes, not always, but sometimes, it produces people that neither old nor new money can fully understand or replicate. This difference reflects how each group has been trained by their circumstances to perceive loss as a manageable inconvenience, as an existential threat, or as an old familiar. How they think about time. Old money thinks in generations. Decisions are evaluated not by what they produce this year, but by what they protect over decades. Estate planning begins early. Trusts are established. Trees are planted whose shade the planter will never sit under. Time is long, patient, and structural. There is no urgency because the architecture of wealth is designed to outlast any individual within it. New money thinks in milestones. The first million, the first property. The exit, the IPO. Time is a career maps, a sequence of targets that proves the trajectory is real. Every year must show progress. Every decade must show transformation. Time is the metric by which new money measures whether the sacrifice was worth it. Urgency is constant because everything was built fast and everything could unravel just as fast. No money thinks in weeks. The rent cycle, the paycheck, the bill due date. Long-term planning is not a philosophy. It is a privilege. When resources are scarce, the brain is neurologically shifted toward immediate problem solving. Research by Senthil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir showed that scarcity consumes cognitive bandwidth in measurable ways, leaving less mental space for future planning regardless of raw intelligence. No money people are not short-term thinkers by character. They are short-term thinkers by circumstance. This difference reflects how financial position doesn't just change what you can do. It changes the very architecture of how you think, how they use education. Old money uses education as a social credential, not a professional one. The university matters more than the degree. Harvard, Oxford, Sciences Po, these are not chosen for their curriculum. They are chosen for their rooms, their dining halls, their lifelong networks. The education is the relationship, not the knowledge. The old money graduate often works in the family business, joins the family board, or enters politics. Not because the degree required it, but because the contacts made it inevitable. New money uses education as an escape vehicle. The first generation college student sees the degree as a door, formally certified ticket to a different life. The subject is chosen for earning potential. The university is chosen for scholarship availability. The pressure is enormous because education is not supplementary, it is the entire plan. Failure here is not a detour, it is a collapse. No money has a complex relationship with education. The system promises meritocracy and delivers it inconsistently. No money students are statistically more likely to attend underfunded schools, graduate with higher debt relative to earnings, and enter labor markets that undervalue their credentials. And yet, no money communities have produced some of the most transformative intellectual traditions in human history, precisely because they had to build knowledge systems outside institutions that excluded them. Jazz theory, liberation theology, hip-hop linguistics, entire fields of thought born from communities that formal education had written off. This difference reflects how each group inherits a different relationship with institutions, as an entitlement, as a lifeline, or as an unreliable stranger. The numbers: approximately 1% of the global population holds generational wealth that qualifies as old money by sociological definition. New money, individuals who have built wealth in their own lifetime, represents roughly 8 to 10% of the global population depending on the threshold used. The remaining 90% of the world's population lives in conditions ranging from working class to severe poverty. What this video has called no money, though economists use a dozen different terms. The country with the highest concentration of old money families per capita is the United Kingdom, where aristocratic wealth structures have remained legally protected for centuries. The country producing the most new money at current rates is the United States, followed by China and India. The country with the highest proportion of population living in financial scarcity is a contested measurement, but sub-Saharan Africa holds 60% of the world's extreme poor despite holding some of the world's largest natural resource deposits. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos.